listening to a One Pint Stand, a Minnesota craft beer podcast that tells the stories of craft beer in Minnesota and beyond. So kick back, relax, and grab a cold one. The show starts now. Hello, my name is Dan Bobian, and I write, produce, and host a One Pint Stand. I'm ecstatic that you are listening. This podcast has been a passion project of mine since 2016. This episode is all about the soon-to-be opening Werks Brewing Depot that will be opening their taps to the public on Saturday, June 1st. I sat down with owners Denise and William Roberts, the founders of the brewery, Corey, their bar manager, and Cable, their head brewer, to talk about what people should expect at this new brew pub. It's opening in Columbia Heights, which up until now has been a bit of a craft beer desert, so it'll be exciting to see how the locals embrace a new place to eat and drink. I can tell you that after being in the space, I think there's going to be a lot to love about Werks Brewing Depot. So let's head out to the tap room for my chat with Denise, William, Corey, and Cable. Cheers. Welcome to another on-location episode of a One Pint Stand. And we are here up in Columbia Heights at Werks Brewing Depot. And I'm being joined by William, Denise, Corey, and Cable. The whole crew is here. Thank you so much for being willing to have me come in. We're in the tap room now. It's a very spacious situation, and there's seating of all kinds. I love how the windows show into the brew house, so that when you're out here enjoying your beer or cocktails or mocktails and getting barbecue sauce all over yourself, you can see what the shiny kettles. So before we get into the interview, let's go around clockwise and just say your name, what your role is at Werks, and the first beer you remember having.
I'm Denise. I'm the owner and chief operating officer at Werks Brewing Depot. And I'm going to have to say the first beer I ever remember having, I was probably around 12 or 13, and we would get cases of hams from the Hams Brewery near where I grew up. And my father would send me to our recreation room where there was a bar with the built-in bottle opener. And so I'd crack that open and take a drink before I brought it to him.
Oh, nice.
My name is William Roberts. I am the CEO of Werks Brewing Depot. The first beer I ever had, the one that comes to mind, and I'm sure it's not even made anymore, Red Wolf. That was way back in the day, and it was an amber. It was an interesting, something a little different than a Bud Light or something like that.
Okay.
Nice way to age yourself, right? My name is Corey. I am the bar manager mixologist running the front of house. And the first beer I had was, in a sense, tainted. It was my dad's bloody beer. It was a Mick Golden Light can from way back in the day.
Okay.
I'm Cable. I'm the head brewer, and I'm not 100% sure, but my first beer was either Surly Furious or Leinenkugel's Honey Weiss, and I can't remember which it was.
Wow, those are two very extreme examples of
yeah, I know.
beers.
They were both.
Wow.
They were weirdly enough both in my parents' house. So
Okay.
I had one of them. I just can't remember which one was the first one.
I don't know if my mouth would have been equipped for a Surly Furious if that was one of the first things. I was a big fan. I think my first beer, if I'm being honest, was probably Busch Light out of a keg in college. But the first beer I really liked was Killian's Irish Red. So that was like crafty back in the early 2000s. So we're up here in Columbia Heights. What is the Columbia Heights beer culture?
It's learning. So they have Columbia Heights, just right outside of Northeast Minneapolis. So there's a lot of breweries in Northeast, but Columbia Heights has kind of been sheltered from it a little bit and not exposed. And we're bringing that exposure to them. There are people here that, especially Columbia Heights is up and coming, have a lot of younger people moving into Columbia Heights that are more familiar with the beer culture.
Okay.
But there's still a lot of education to happen, and we're bringing it to them.
Okay. So this on the glasses, the first of all, Railworks, railroads. What was the inspiration for that? Do you just really like the board game Ticket to Ride, or what's the story there?
I can't
It's a
say
great
it's
game, I
related
mean-
to that board game because
Okay.
I've never heard of it.
Oh, well, we need to get, when you get your game cabinet, get Ticket to Ride. It's a great
Okay.
game, and it will have people here longer and ordering more food and beer or
Sold.
mocktails and cocktails. Yeah.
When we first started looking at spaces to open the brewery, one of the very first buildings we looked at was literally right next to tracks. There wasn't even a fence, and I was always concerned, like if people got drunk and stumbling out there would stumble onto those tracks. But
I mean, that could be kind of a fun little element of
Right.
danger.
But here along, so with Columbia Heights Northeast, all along here is, I think, one of the largest train yards in Minnesota, the Shoreham Yards.
Okay.
So you cannot go anywhere around here without possibly being stopped by the train, where the trains are coming across Central, Johnson, all that. So trains are just part of the life around here.
Okay.
You were constantly hearing the thuds of them hooking up and,
I thought you were going to
and
say
moving.
thuds of people being hit by trains. It's like, oh, well, that's weird.
it actually has a name. It's called Bumper Hill.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And it still exists. They still use it, where they bring a train of cars up and they'll disconnect one and it rolls down the hill on its own using just gravity
Okay.
for them to move them around the yard. So
Interesting.
yeah,
Huh.
so the trains around here are a big part of just living here.
Okay.
And then when coming up with the name, so the initials of Railworks Brewing Depot is also the initials of our family. So our daughter
okay.
Rebecca
Okay.
for the R, William for Werks, B is Ben, our son, and then Denise is the depot.
Okay. Oh, that's fun. That should be you should have that trivia. You know, anybody who listened to this
You are
podcast,
not
you
the
get
first to say
$1
that.
off your beer. That could be a fun cross-promotional opportunity. That's exciting. I didn't know that. Okay, so kind of, I think it's great when a brewery can kind of link into like the history and the culture of an area. So that's fun. Established in 2018. Now we're recording this in 2024.
It's 2024.
Yes. Oh. Yeah, I told you. Take your tinfoil hat off. Get with the times. So, I'm not a math teacher, but that's 6 years. So, give me the Cliff Notes version of from 2018 to 2024.
So yeah, we started this process. Actually, there is a story of why we actually are opening a brewery. My wife and I have been to almost 300 breweries. We love craft beer. We love going to breweries. Our kids have all, have both been dragged sometimes to breweries. And so we were at a brewery here in Northeast, and we were playing bingo, just the beer bingo. And my wife and I had been kicking around the idea of, she's always wanted to have a restaurant because she managed a restaurant for many, many years. And
Okay.
she always wanted her own restaurant, and I was not always on board with that idea. But so then we started kicking around the idea of a brewery. And as we're playing bingo, I'm getting close on one. And so joking around, I said, if I win this bingo, we're opening a brewery. And Nagget, that's why we are opening a brewery, because I got a free pint of beer and bingo. So
Wow. That's
He won one free pint of beer,
I
so
won
he wanted
one.
more free pints of beer.
right. There you go. I mean, that makes sense. That's cool. That's a fun story. How did you? So you said 300 breweries. When do you remember the first brewery you ever went to?
Yes. 612 in Northeast Minneapolis. That was
Okay.
the very first brewery we ever went to, and I drank their pale ale.
Okay.
Went there for my birthday.
Okay. And then do you mostly do have most of those breweries, I'm assuming, have been Minnesota, or do you like to travel around for beer?
Yes, most are in Minnesota, but anywhere we go, that's the first thing we're looking up, what breweries are around.
Okay.
And we're going to visit them.
What are some of your favorite? Let's start. Give me your top 5 favorite local breweries, and then give me your 3 favorite breweries outside of Minnesota that you've been to.
Ooh.
I asked the tough questions here at a One Pint Stand.
Loaded question.
Okay. 56. It's very close to us, and we've always enjoyed there. Back Channel. We've always really enjoyed Back Channel. Fair State, yeah. So
Yeah, right down the road.
they
right?
are just down central, yeah. All right, I've come up with 2. You.
I was going to say...
That was 3.
Well, she had 1.
Right, it really was, but he can't count. I was actually going to add in Modest, only because they've had a beer that I absolutely loved, and it was like a one-time, one and done, but I still love going there.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah.
just like that area.
Yeah.
It's kind
Well,
of
that's
fun.
nice. I mean, you could swing
Yeah.
a cat and hit 5 breweries and a
Right.
cidery. It's great.
Yeah.
I was just there on Saturday after a Twins game, and I always love to do Fulton, Modest, and just see what other trouble you can get into in that area. It's a lot of fun. Okay, so you said 56, Fair State, Modest, Back Channel. Give me a 5th one.
The 5th one is whatever beer I can walk in on a July hot day and find a dark beer.
Oh, okay. See, that's not all of them, which is
No, sir, it's
sometimes
not.
problematic because those of us malt
Absolutely.
lovers, even when it's it feels like we're on the equator, it's still time for a stout somewhere.
Absolutely.
Talk to me about some of the outstate breweries that you have enjoyed.
First one comes to my mind is actually the brewery that gave us our inspiration is in Cincinnati, Ohio, Rheingeist.
Oh, okay.
And this was many years ago, but there, when we were flying out of Cincinnati and our flight was canceled, so we're like, okay, we called an Uber and said, take us to a brewery.
Yeah.
And we went to Rheingeist, and it was great because it was a huge space. And there were people doing things that we couldn't believe. No one had ever done that before in Minnesota because it was a big space, so it didn't matter what the weather was like outside. You could still have a good time. So, and a lot of people. So that was the one that really triggered, and we enjoyed our experience there and our time there.
I was in Fort Collins, Colorado a year ago and went to Crooked Stave.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And part of the reason I liked it is I also like sours.
Okay.
So they had
Yeah.
quite a few.
Fort Collins, I think there's an argument to be made that Fort Collins is probably the best craft beer city in the country because it has, for a lot of reasons, but its size, it's accessible, it's quaint, and they have some of the greatest breweries there, and what those breweries do have kind of influenced so many others, which is interesting. So you've traveled around 300 craft breweries plus, both in Minnesota and beyond. You mentioned Rheingeist. That kind of gave you the inspiration. As I look around here, it's a very large space. What type of brewery do you want to be? I know that's a very broad question, but there's different breweries have different vibes, they become known for certain things. What do you want people to know you for? When they say Railworks Brewing Depot, what do you want the first thing to be that comes to mind?
I think the first thing I think of is it's a place for everybody to just come and hang out and have fun. That's why, not only do we offer the beer, but we offer the cocktails, the mocktails, and food. And so a brewery, you're just getting beer and maybe some other things. But here, everybody's going to find something they're going to enjoy as a group. So it could be just, a family get-together, a group of friends, but a place you want to come to hang out, stay, and enjoy yourself.
Yeah. Now, one of the things about Minnesota is that the craft beer scene is fairly young in comparison to other places. I just got back from Seattle. They've had a beer scene since the late 70s. You go to Michigan, you go to Oregon, you go to other places, and beer is one of those things that is kind of ingrained in the culture of a place. I don't know that that's necessarily true for Minnesota. How do you convince people in Columbia Heights, where the beer culture is really in its infancy, that a brew pub can be a place for families?
Oh, I think the people of Columbia Heights are already seeing it just from talking with us, coming and visiting the space. The Columbia Heights residents, they have been wonderful. They are so supportive. They can't wait. Trust me, we get people coming to the door every day, if not just looking in the windows or, asking if they can help. We've had tons of people from the community just come help and clean stuff, fix things, get ready. So it's been wonderful to have that support. And that is, they are just aching for something like Railworks Brewing Depot to have a place to be a community at and have events, for their families, for workplaces, things like that.
I think that's so true. I think craft beer is interesting. It has the ability to bring all types of people together. And you have one common thing, the beer. And I think if you're drinking craft beer, you're kind of excited to talk to other people about your favorite beer styles, the favorite places that you've been. And that's a nice way to kind of forge a community. And I think that's really exciting when a place that doesn't have that gets that. It's fun to see the excitement in people even before you open, really, just anxious to come in and enjoy it. And I think you have a wonderful opportunity for that to show people like this is what craft beer is. It's a positive thing. It's an inclusive thing. It's a place for all ages, and you're going to have having a brew pub gives you a nice advantage that you can kind of like cover all the bases when it comes to the types of beverages that people want. Was that kind of some of the thinking when you were like weighing, like, did you always know that you wanted to be a brew pub versus a brewery, or was that something that you kind of came to the decision later?
No, right from the get-go, we knew it would be a full restaurant. As William said, I used to manage a restaurant, and I missed that when that establishment closed. When William started brewing, it took 7 years of him brewing to get him on board. But once he got into beer, it was like, that's it. My hands were done. I was done.
Yeah. What restaurant did you?
It was called Urban Harvest.
Urban Harvest.
Yeah, in Northeast Minneapolis on 18th Avenue.
Okay. So you've got restaurant experience.
Yes. I mean, as soon as that place closed, I was already planning the menu for this place.
Okay.
I already knew it was going to be barbecue because he'd been doing that for so long.
Okay. So barbecue, I mean, I love barbecue. Barbecue's amazing. I've been in Minnesota every time I've had barbecue. The best barbecue I've had in Minnesota has been in somebody's driveway, in somebody's backyard. I have yet to see that, like, skill, passion translate to a place where I'm like, oh, you have to go here because they do burnt ends like they do in St. Louis or Kansas City. Do you feel like barbecue is going to be a tough sell?
I don't think it's a tough sell, but I completely understand what you're saying because I have not yet found a barbecue restaurant in Minnesota that I want to go back to.
Yeah.
So we're here to change that tide. That's what we're here. That's what we're all about.
Okay. That's interesting. So, William, you've been doing barbecue competitions or like just barbecue, smoker? You're the person that I love to be neighbors with because, like, on like 4th of July, you come out to like take the garbage out. You already smell like smoked meat, and it's like
I've had numerous neighbors come over just so what's in the smoker this time?
Yeah.
It's I don't even remember how I got started smoking meat, just because it's been so long. I mean, easily 30 years. At one point in time, I had 5 smokers, built my own. So just finding, fine-tuning what I want out of a smoker, how to get the right amount of smoke, the right smoke, because there's different types of smoke.
Right, yeah.
Good and bad. My rub recipe, I've probably been making that same one for 20 years easily.
Okay.
Same with the sauce, things like that. So it's always just been a passion. And like our son, even, who's now 18, but even when he was little, he's like, we'd go someplace and he might get ribs. And he's like, well, they're not as good as yours, Dad. And I'm like, oh, thanks, son.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's hard to find what you crave, what you want out of barbecue.
Yeah.
I don't want barbecue that's just slathered in sauce.
Right.
Because that just you're hiding the meat. When
But
you
I think there's a lot of people in Minnesota that think that that's what barbecue is.
Yep. And, I'll be honest with you. If that's what someone likes, that's great.
Yeah.
It's not what you're going to get here.
Yeah.
Everything will come. You can have the sauces on the side. Everything's coming naked. It'll be rubbed, smoked. And then if you want sauce, yeah, we'll have different sauces here for you that we make in-house.
Okay.
But we're not smothering ribs and stuff
Okay.
in sauce
Well,
before it comes to
that
you.
helps my anxiety a little bit.
Yeah.
Not that I thought that you would, but but I think that's one of the many things that I think if you don't understand what barbecue is, that's like, okay, yes, we're going to put the sauce on for you. It's like,
If you want a
oh.
McRib, go to McDonald's.
Right, exactly. Bingo, you heard it. That should be a shirt. That should be a shirt. I feel like I missed my calling in marketing. Every now and then I just yeah.
There's still time.
Yeah, that's true.
More trivia ammo.
So, so we're talking barbecue. Is it going to be how many varieties of meats will you have? Will it be kind of a rotating kind of a menu, kind
So-
of what you can get your hands on?
Sure. I mean, there would be different things.
I probably have more barbecue questions than I do beer
Okay.
questions. So maybe it was going to turn into a barbecue podcast.
So maybe this is one pit stand.
Ooh, let me write that down.
Now who's got the marketing
Yes,
ideas?
bingo.
All right, together we
Yes.
team up. Right? We're going to do chopped pork, ribs, chopped chicken,
Okay.
brisket, pork belly, which is one of my favorite things. Oh yeah, you have. Oh, and fatties. You ever? And yes, insert laughter here. You ever smoked a fatty?
Well, I mean, I'll plead the fifth on that.
He is a teacher.
Yeah. Okay.
A week ago, I used the term hotboxing wrong, and all of my students were like, what? I'm like, okay. What is a smoked fatty?
So the smoked fatty is you take breakfast sausage, and in a bulk form, rub it, smoke it, and then slice it, grill it. It completely changes the flavor. It becomes a whole different animal.
So like a big, like a loaf of breakfast sausage?
Well, like how breakfast sausage comes in a log.
Yeah.
If you will.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So
you rub that, smoke it, and slice it.
slice it and then grill it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is it served like on a sandwich
Yeah. Or you can eat it on its own on the side.
Could you put a fried egg and cheese on it?
Heck yeah.
Whoa.
You doing all right over there, Dan?
Stick a fork in it.
I
it's
think
done.
I'm having heart palpitations. That sounds exciting. Okay, I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
So is that going to be kind of like one of the Railworks Brewing Depot signature items?
It'll be out there. It'll
Okay.
be on the menus at times.
Okay, yeah. How do you source your meat? Do you have like a butcher shop lined up, or how does that work? Restaurant Depot, or like?
No, we are working with a food service provider,
Okay.
but going after good quality meat. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Brisket, chopped chicken, chopped pork, ribs. I'm excited. Fatties. I'm excited to smoke a fatty. Let's get that going. That could be another shirt. I'll make that shirt myself with puffy paint, and I'll wear it on the big opening week and be like, "Who is that man? He needs to leave." Okay, so we talked a lot about the food. when I go to a barbecue place, yes, I'm excited about the meats, but I'm also excited about the sides. What are the now? Denise's face just lit up like Christmas time. What are the sides going to be?
Ooey gooey macaroni and cheese.
Okay.
One that I've been making for probably 30 years.
Oh, okay.
My kids grew up with it. They don't know Kraft out of a box.
Oh, those lucky children.
I'm one of those moms.
Yeah. Okay.
Creamy, dreamy cornbread,
Okay.
barbecue baked beans, coleslaw, and then we'll have a lot of seasonal things rotating through.
Okay.
Potato salad in the summer, kale salad in the winter.
Okay. Baked beans. This is another thing I think people from Minnesota really don't maybe understand how versatile and how texturally different baked beans are depending on where you go. What will your baked beans be? Will they be like kind of like I guess like when my come to Jesus moment with baked beans occurred in Kansas City. I went to Joe's Garage, and their baked beans had like peppers, and it was not just like, okay, I grew up in St. Paul, so Captain Ken's was like the local. Yeah. I mean, exactly. So that's like for years, I'm like, yeah, baked beans are fine, but I don't know, they're at every picnic, but then when I went to Kansas City for the first time, I was kind of blown away by how different they were. Is that kind of what your baked beans will be like? Without giving any, like, I don't want the recipe, but like, what's gonna separate your baked beans from other baked beans?
As much as we pride ourselves in that we're going to provide food for all people, whether you're, a meat eater, vegetarian, vegan, gluten-free, sadly the beans don't fall in that vegetarian category. If you get my
drift. You said
drift.
all I need to know.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I figured.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Again, you don't need to give away any trade secrets, but you saw my eyes glaze over when you mentioned mac and cheese. You don't have to say which ones they are, but how many different cheeses do you use?
Well, 3.
Okay.
Sometimes 4.
Okay.
But 3 for sure, at
Okay.
minimum.
Fun. That's good. I'll be coming in for that. Because I think the sides are just as important as the meat. Because barbecue is one of those things I never get this quote right, but the sum is greater than the parts. Is that the quote? Is that kind of like, yeah. So that's how I feel about barbecue. So I'm excited about that. That'll be fun. Let's talk about the beer, because I'm 80% of the way through the light lager. What is it called?
All aboard.
All aboard. Okay. The first sip I had was very refreshing. Instantly, I felt transported to Grumpy's in Northeast on a Friday night, drinking my hams. It's a very easy drinking, no frills, bubbly, refreshing beer. I think if you're a craft brewery, you need to have something like this. For people who are not familiar with craft beer and maybe are intimidated by craft beer, I think like some people will look down on a style of beer like this, but I think in 2024 it is essential to have.
You have to have that transition beer to transition them from a Bud Light, Coors Light, whatever they're used to drinking at the local bar.
Yeah.
To get them in the door, and it's amazing to see once people come in maybe once, twice, and then they start looking at the menu or like, okay, let me try that other one. And suddenly their taste for craft beer starts to grow and change.
I think it's important too. Every now and again, you run into a brewery that like, we don't do samples. And I've always kind of been taken aback by that, because I think when I talk to people who don't like craft beer, my first question is why? And they always say it's snooty and I just don't know what to get. And they've had experiences where people working behind the bar haven't really been patient or taken the time to like figure out what they like. As you are ramping up to opening and training your staff, is that something that's like kind of like front of mind to be like, hey, listen, we're not in Northeast Minneapolis, we're not in downtown St. Paul, we're in Columbia Heights. We need to allow people to figure out which of our beers are going to align with their palate. Is that something that is kind of happening or is going to happen, or?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
We want, our bartenders and beer tenders to really help the people as much as they can. But the best way for someone to make a decision is, yes, a sample. Because so many people, I think, also go into a craft beer and immediately think of IPAs as craft beer. Oh, yeah, too hoppy and all that. And it's like, well, that's just one type of beer. There are so many others. And Cable has so many beers that he's making and bringing to even the first lineup that is going to blow people's minds.
Yeah.
And trust me, I've been tasting them. And drinking them. So,
Yeah, I mean,
And-
I really enjoy. Cable has he knows his way around many styles, so I'm really excited to see what he comes out with next. Well, either this glass had a hole in it or I was really thirsty.
It's a really big hole at the top. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there we go. So we're gonna take a little break here. I'm gonna get I want to try another beer. They've got several beers on tap, and when we come back, we'll dive more into the tap list and the cocktail menu. And but yeah, I'm already drooling because of I keep thinking about what are the 3 cheeses in the mac and cheese. So we're gonna take a little break.
We can see the meat sweats starting already.
Yeah, it's weird to have the meat sweats when there's no meat in front of me. I don't know. Maybe I need to go to the urgent care. So we're going to come back in a little bit. But you are listening to a One Pint Stand up here at Werks Brewing Depot.
Hey, thank you so much for listening. Hopefully you're enjoying a One Pint Stand. My aim is to help spread the word about craft beer. Enjoying craft beer is a passion of mine, and I love chatting about it with other people. A One Pint Stand has a goal of helping breweries tell their stories. I love to get out in and beyond Minnesota to visit breweries, beer bars, and meet other interesting beer people. If you are also into those things, you probably want to keep tabs on the show. So go ahead and follow a One Pint Stand on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We would also appreciate any and all positive reviews on Spotify and iTunes to help make it easier for other craft beer listeners to find us. If you like reading about craft beer, I started my own blog, and all of my writing can be found at aonepintstand.com. After 8 years of writing as editor-in-chief at Beer Pluma, it was time for me to start my own blog. So make sure you check out the blog for some interesting craft beer content of the written variety. I truly appreciate you listening and taking time to enjoy our stories. Now, back to the show.
How about a beer?
All right, we're back to the second half of the Werks Brewing Depot episode, and we're here, and we're enjoying some great conversation. We've talked a lot about the food, and now I'm really hungry. But it's a brew pub. Emphasis on the brew. So let's dive into the beers and the cocktails and the mocktails that people can look forward to. So, how many tap lines will there be?
20.
20, okay. Of those 20 tap lines, how many of them will have beer on them?
14.
Okay. And then I'm assuming maybe a mix of seltzers.
A seltzer, homemade root beer.
Ooh.
A mocktail, a cocktail, and then a white wine and a red wine.
Okay. And for those of you who are listening and thinking, wait, I thought this was a brew pub. A brew pub can have spirits, wine, all sorts of stuff. The tater tots are ready. So that gives you a lot of flexibility. Will the cocktails be batched cocktails?
A majority of them,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Yep.
Are you at liberty to say what kind of how the? Well, let's back up for the for the menu of non-beer items, what was kind of your thinking or inspiration for what you were going to have on?
A lot of it boiled down to seasonal stuff. So spring, summer, you want flashy, flavorful, and pairing. I pride myself on trying to pair as many of the cocktails or the mocktails with the meats. So we have a couple smoked cocktails. We have whiskey stuff that kind of pairs well with some of the beers, and then just focusing on that bright, vibrant color, just to kind of get that visual acuity, get people coming in.
Okay, that's exciting. And then as far as the mocktails, will they just be NA versions of the cocktails, or are they going to be different?
They're going to be different.
Oh, okay.
So starting about 2 years ago, I really kind of dove into the mocktail idea, and then upon choosing to be sober last year, I really kind of focused on the dry January thing, that the kind of new age thing that people are going for these days, and just kind of adding some vibrantness to it.
Okay.
And then some of the mocktails that are different, you can also make them alcoholic by adding some kind of spirit to it.
Okay.
So like we have our slushy machine, and the whole idea behind the family orientation. So we have the root beer on tap. One of the mocktails is a homemade root beer float, utilizing the root beer that we have on tap. So a combination of different things. And then to get kids into, we have the slushies. We have, pink lemonade. I have a cucumber watermelon. We have a homemade pina colada. So, you can always add, wine to make one a sangria. You can add tequila to make one a margarita, and then rum for the pina colada. So
Okay.
You get,
go ahead.
Yeah, so you get aspects for kids and for people that don't want to drink, and then you have the adult versions too.
Okay. And Corey, what is your background in beverage?
Background in beverage is not quite as affluent as background in restaurant management.
Oh, okay.
I've had off and on for the better part of 27, 28 years I've been in the restaurant industry, mostly back of house running kitchens, front of house operations for about 7-8 years. I really started getting into bartending, mixology, craft cocktail type stuff probably about 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
And then just really started honing in on it about 2 years ago.
What are the things, like, as you've kind of been in the back of the house or restaurants, like what do you need to make sure that your staff understands about opening, and there's going to be a lot of people? What are the pitfalls, like, of opening up a place that's new when you're going to get slammed?
Patience, understanding that nothing's perfect, everything's kind of fluid, and being flexible. Originally, you think of brew pub, you think brewing, you think heavy on the craft beer side of things, but hearing around in the area, there's a lot of breweries that have kind of transitioned into the brew pub aspect. They have the craft cocktail, and they're selling more cocktails than they are brews. So it's just that patience, knowing how to do time management with stuff, and that's where the batching of cocktails comes into play. That to have 7 elements in a cocktail and making every single one to order, you're never going to be able to keep up.
Right.
You're going to need 10 people on staff. So being able to streamline the process and kind of focus in on how to make it an experience for the guests too. So we're adding batching, but we're also keeping some of that raw aspect of bartenders, stirring, shaking, mixing, muddling, kind of keeping some of those basic aspects there for the visual presentation part of it too.
Yeah. And I think that's what a lot of people like when they think of a cocktail. They like it's an experience. They want to go to the bar and then see their drink made before their eyes, and that's kind of a little bit of the wow factor. You mentioned this about the mocktails and kind of carrying on the idea of dry January, but also wanting to make sure that, like, this is not a place that makes somebody who is sober or maybe taking a break from alcohol feel like it's not for them. And I've seen that in a lot of different places in the Twin Cities. More breweries are offering NA products, whether it's beers that they're doing and having working with ABV technology. I know that Broken Clock did during dry January mocktails. I have a friend named my buddy Charles.
Really? Come on.
He was he was pretty excited about those. He tried them. He said they were very good. I think that's something that's maybe 10 years ago a brewery would have not even thought of, just because I think the quality of NA was not what it is now, and people's drinking habits have changed big time. And a lot of that is probably due to bad habits picked up during the pandemic, but also just like maybe, wanting to be healthier. And so, I think that's a good thing to have. I think that's an inclusive thing to have. How many NA beers will you have any NA beers?
I mean, my intention is to, once we get rolling and have a good idea of like the flow of beer, because right now it's hard to say like how much we're going to be going through. And I would love to send some of it off to ABV to open with an NA beer of ours on tap right away.
Yeah.
I don't feel good sacrificing that beer if it could affect us keeping things on tap.
Right. And as a brew pub, you can bring in
if we need to bring
whatever.
in someone else's NA for a little while until we can get our program rolling, absolutely. But for now, we won't be opening with any of our own NA beer.
Okay. So I'm drinking the West Coast IPA. This is, I just got back from Seattle a couple weeks ago, and I was living the West Coast IPA dream out there. Everything was, the hops are so fresh, the beers are so piney. This is kind of echoing back to that. There was definitely a nice piney aroma on this beer. What's the name of this one?
It's called Third Rail.
Third Rail. Okay. So this is a mix of, Cable said, are you going to ask me about the hops? I'm like, of course I'm going to ask you about the hops. Cable, what are the hops in this beer?
It's a good thing I went and looked them up.
He wrote them on his arm in magic marker. Well, that's great.
So in this beer, we used Chinook, Strata, and CTZ.
Okay. And what is CTZ? Sounds like something some medication you might need to have after having too many smoked fatties. Define this for us here.
It is a blend of 3 different hops. I can't remember if it's Centennial or Columbus. We had an argument about that before we started here. A disagreement. Sorry, not an argument. I can't remember which one it is, but the other 2 are Tomahawk and Zeus.
So Centennial or Columbus, and then
Tomahawk and Zeus.
Okay. Wasn't Tomahawk? That was one of the ones I've heard of that before. That's a pioneer, more kind of aggressive West Coast hop.
Yes, I believe
correct?
so.
Okay, yeah. This is good. I think this is going to be something that those of us in the drinking public who are maybe not sick of hazy IPAs, but like want that pendulum to swing back a little bit to the heyday of the 2010s, when if you ordered an IPA, it was going to be bitter, it was going to be piney, it was going to still be bright, not just muddled, but I like an IPA you can see through. So this is good. What else is going to be on the tap list?
So as we talked about earlier, there's there's not a lot of craft beer information for Columbia Heights itself. There are 2 bars, Jimmy's Billiards across the street. They have a few craft beers, but it's the stuff you'd find in most places. Your Furious, your Summit EPAs. Then there's Miller's down the street, and they have a bit more of a craft beer selection, but they still seem to push out a lot of the domestic light beers.
Yeah.
So our opening list is kind of, for lack of better words, throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks, seeing what the people here really connect with. So I tried to go all over the map. We have a couple hazies. We'll have the West Coast. I've got a peach plum sour that's great. The light lager. I did a Kentucky Common
Oh,
because
okay.
I thought
That'll
kind of like
that'll get the beer nerds going.
yeah, and I thought the bitter and slight pucker that comes with a Kentucky Common would pair really well with the barbecue.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
I did an apricot wheat, and it worked with Eric Sannerin to do an experimental pale ale with some of the hops he's pushing right now.
Oh, cool.
And then we have a cookies and cream stout. Stepped outside of my normal realm and got a little different with it.
I don't
make that
even know
face
who
at
you
me.
are anymore.
Don't make that face at me.
No, I love cookies and cream. There was who used to do that at the state fair? Was that? I can't remember.
All I can ever
Now
remember.
there's people screaming at their headphones.
All I can
always
ever
do this.
remember is the s'mores porter and the Midwest martini.
Okay, yeah. Anyhow, cookies and cream, that'll be good. Because not long ago, I remember talking to you about your first brewing gig, and now you're like, old man Cable, shaking your
Grizzled and worn.
shaking your fist at the clouds. I tell you, people don't like these hazies anymore.
I still do that. Just so you ask William, I still do that.
It's kind of exciting to see for every other brewing job that you've had, you've kind of come in after a place was started. At Railworks, you are here at the inception, the infancy of it, and that's very exciting. Do you feel pressure that you're like, wow, I have to?
I mean, a little bit. It's different because, as we've talked about in the past, it's always been more like my job has been fixing.
Yeah.
And like helping better, but now it's not fixing. It's not making it better. It's showing what I can actually do.
Yeah.
As a brewer without having to be confined to the roles that were already set by that brewery, or have to spend time changing what the idea of that brewery is in order to make the beer, more publicly accepted.
Yes. Do you feel like that fact in itself gives you more autonomy?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
Because it's less of having to think about, okay, there are these established beers that people are expecting, and going, okay, how do we do those beers, but also move this place forward in a way that is good for the business, but still doesn't disappoint the customers they already have.
Yeah. What were some of the, as you, in Cable, you've brewed at Lakes and Legends, were the head brewer at Wabasha, and now are the head brewer here. What are some things that you learned along the way that you're kind of excited to like, all right, I'm going to do this time right from the get-go? And if you say washing your hands, this podcast is over.
Well, I won't say it then, Dan.
Okay.
I think a lot of it is, for me, is like being less afraid to just take a risk in doing something. Especially when I was finally, like at Lakes and Legends, when I was finally able to start writing my own recipes here and there. I played it very safe because, they're my first professional recipes I had written. I didn't want to like step out of bounds too much.
Right.
Because I didn't want to make a batch of beer that would be there forever, even though, lo and behold, I eventually did. No one knows what an Australian sparkling ale is. It made me mad. That was quite tasty.
We drank a lot of it.
Yeah.
I did my share.
But, and it was the same at Wabasha. Like, I took a risk here and there, but I was trying to play to the customer base that was already there, and they weren't necessarily used to things taking a risk.
Yeah.
Something that sounds like they might not like it. Like, I did it here and there. I made a coffee sour once.
Yeah.
And I got, like, my favorite comment I got was, like, no one had tried it, and I made one of our regulars try it. And I went and sat down across the bar from him, and I just heard him go, hey, fuck you. This shouldn't be good.
Nice. Well, I think it's interesting because, like Wabasha had, that was very, like the people that lived on the west side, that was their spot.
Yeah, it's a
I
very
think
strong community there.
Railworks is going to have the same kind of vociferous following of locals. We're like, this is our place. This is our spot. So you're going to create some really cool things that people are going to be like, yes, this is our beer. That's got to be exciting.
Yeah, and that's why I was saying, like, the first 20 brews are basically us just throwing shit at the wall.
Yeah.
I'll come up with a bunch of stuff I want to brew, and I'll come out to these guys and go, hey, which one of these ones do you think we should do? Because, like, I want to do all of them. So, obviously, I'm going to have a hard time making this decision.
Yeah.
So, I need the help making this decision. And I think that's kind of important because now we're going to try a bunch of different stuff. This community is going to discover things that they didn't even know they liked. We have a carrot cake beer that we're opening with. Like, I think it's going to be popular.
I think that will be very good because carrot cake, you've got the creamy frosting element, you've got the raisiny element, you've got the malt base. All of those flavors are achievable in beer. So that's like, yeah, that's perfect. So I'm sure that by now William, Denise, and Corey have figured out that you are kind of not the typical brewer. Most brewers, like when they're done, nerding out with their beakers and their like hoses and their, rubber gloves, the last thing they want to do is talk to anybody. You're a kind of a social butterfly. You
In my own weird introverted way, yeah.
Yes, but you relish the opportunity to engage with people and like have conversations across the bar.
Well, yeah, especially in my role as the head brewer, like that's what I'm helping design the beer program. Like between the four of us,
Yeah.
like I get everyone's input, but I'm designing the beer program.
Yeah.
So it's like I said before, I can come up with this big list of beers. I can brew all these beers that I want to brew, but like at the end of the day, for every one beer that I want to brew that we need to do like 2 or 3 that the customers want.
Yes.
Because they're the most important part. We need to make beer that they want to drink.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we don't get to make beer.
And as Corey mentioned earlier, the idea about cocktails pairing well with the meat. Are you excited about this? Is the first time you've had the opportunity to brew beers knowing that, well, people are going to be ordering this food. Have you is that a challenge? Do you view it as like a fun opportunity? I mean, beer is there's a big misnomer that like the only beverage you can really pair with food is wine, but actually beer is a lot better because there's nothing that doesn't work. There's so many flavors in beers that you can pair with food that you can't pair with wine.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, it's an exciting challenge, and it's gonna be fun to do. Like I said earlier, doing a Kentucky Common because I thought that would pair really well with barbecue. But also, I mean, it goes back to when I was managing at Urban Growler,
Right.
and we would do a lot of like, I know the brewers and Deb would all make beers that were specific at times to pair with like the food menu. But there was a lot of times where it's like, hey, we're making these beers. Can you and the kitchen collaborate and figure out what special could we make that we could push this beer with? Or we made this beer.
Yeah.
What menu item do you think it would pair best with?
Yeah.
A lot of stuff like that. So it's fun to actually get to think about that now.
Yeah. William and Denise, will you be using beer in any of the recipes?
Yes,
Oh.
most definitely.
Okay, well, that's which are you at liberty to say kind of like what your plan is for that? Or I guess, is there sometimes I'm like, well, there's a certain beer style that always goes well with one dish. Is there a beer style that is just an automatic home run with barbecue, like smoked meat?
Well, okay, and this is something, I'll be honest, we kicked around with. And we did do some beer in a barbecue sauce. And the only thing that kind of stopped us moving forward on that is it no longer made the sauce gluten-free. And so to think about as many customers as we possibly could, we haven't done that.
Okay.
But there's things definitely like you throw a stout or a porter into some amazing desserts, things like that.
Actually, the recipe, my inspiration recipe for the barbecue baked beans did have beer in it, and I pulled that out and switched it out to the root beer in order to make it gluten-free. But we will be making a beer cheese sauce. And the desserts, yes. I have a couple of those up my sleeve. A root beer float cake.
So I want to ask, what was it always the plan to hire somebody like who had brewing experience, or at first was there conversation like, oh yeah, I'll be smoking the food and brewing the beer, and then you're like, wait, there's only 24 hours in a day.
Right. No, I never had the idea of trying to do it myself because it's just not possible. I'd be dead within a week. And yeah, we knew we had to bring in somebody that had the same vision of what we wanted in a beer program here. And of all the people we talked to, Cable just stood out. Plus, he was the only one that actually brought beer to the interview. So, I mean, that was a big key there. He was a smart.
He's a thinker.
Brilliant.
Big
folks.
brain.
He's a thinker.
Big brain.
Word to the wise.
Yeah.
But in talking with Cable and when we met him, everything just jived. What our vision for what we wanted the beer to be, and not just trying to stick to one style or anything like that. Specialize that to be able to do many things well, very well. And Cable does that. We've already seen that. I've gotten to, because yes, I've brewed beer, home brewed for like 12 years and loved it. But that's a very different animal. Brewing.
Yeah.
And Cable's been very nice to. We've incorporated a couple of my recipes, and so he's being very nice to me in that sense. But and I did brew for a week with him, but now I just don't have time with everything else.
You literally have to put together a kitchen.
Yes, I had to build a kitchen.
Yeah. So you've got the brew houses set up. The kitchen is still.
Nope, everything's done.
Okay, everything's because you passed I would have to imagine if you pass your food inspection, like everything's good to go.
Yeah, no, it was just right at that first week of brewing was right when we started hitting crunch time for the kitchen.
Okay.
So like William was able to be there for a week, and then it was like, oh, you got to do stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have time to help you anymore. So.
Yeah.
It's nothing like a solid 9-10 hour brew day. So
Yeah.
and then kitchen.
Yeah.
So we're in 2024. Beer, by all accounts and optics, is not trending upwards like it was pre-COVID. I think in Minneapolis, St. Paul, the Twin Cities area especially, where other regions in the country, their growth was growing, ours was a very kind of almost like a roller coaster because we got into the craft beer game later. There's a lot of people that are like, why would you open up a brewery or a brew pub now when there's so many? And I don't think, let me be clear about my opinion. We're nowhere near a saturation point. We're not, because there isn't a craft brewery in Columbia Heights yet. There is now. And like I live in St. Paul. There's like breweries in St. Paul, but there's nothing in Como Park. They put something in Como Park, they'd be printing money. So there's a lot of pockets around the state where there are communities that don't have a brewery. That being said, I think that the competition is greater. I think that being, for you all, being in close proximity to Northeast, it's great because people love to brewery hop. They don't just stay at one place, they go around. But there's also a lot of other competition. How do you feel like that's going to go?
We think it's going to go great, and here's why. Not only is there not a brewery in Columbia Heights, but in Anoka County, we are the first brew pub
Okay.
in all of Anoka County. And honestly, when I think about Railworks Brewing Depot, yeah, we've got brewing in our name, so clearly we're about beer.
Yeah.
But we're about so much more than that. It's about this community. The support that they've given us, I'm going to keep it together because seriously, it is overwhelming. It warms my heart. We've had perfect strangers come up to us and say, "What can I do to help you? We want to help you get open." People I don't know, neither one of us know, have been in this space, scrubbing floors, painting walls, doing whatever. And so we're about the community. We're about so many initiatives. initiatives. You know, a lot of companies have mission statements. We don't have that. We have initiatives. We have things that we are working towards and building in this space. And when I say, we've all heard it, it takes a village, this is the epitome of it.
Yeah. Well, so when we took the pause, we were talking and you said that this space used to be a school. So, which surprised me. And then you said prior to that, it was like a mall. So that would explain like the spaciousness, but I'm like, wow, I can't imagine there being a school in here because this looks like this has just always been like destined for what it is now.
And this isn't the only, what we have isn't all of the school. They have more beyond our walls.
Okay.
Or had.
Okay.
more.
Okay.
Mhm. It was a very big school.
Yeah.
It was very spooky when it got dark, too.
But it's taken a lot of work to
Yeah.
transform this from having drop ceiling, carpet floors, classrooms, all the walls into this about 7,000 square foot open tap room. That's
Yeah.
just the tap room part is
Yeah.
about 7,000 square feet of just open. So it's taken a lot of work to make that happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's something very different, as you said earlier.
Yeah. So one of the things I also wanted to highlight, because you mentioned it, that this is going to be a zero waste facility, or in the tap room. There will be
Yep.
no garbage.
Correct. We are building, to my knowledge, the first of its kind that I've heard of, and I call it a no trash tap room, because everything that we are providing to the guest will be reusable or compostable.
Okay.
We will not have any trash receptacles in our tap room because we aren't using any
Okay.
garbage.
Why?
Because in our lives together, William and I have always been very conscious of not being wasteful. We pride ourselves on our ability to repurpose items, whether it be a tangible thing or a food item. And there is a large awareness in this community to environmental causes, and we want to support that. And I know, and because I've been speaking to people more and more about this as we get closer to our grand opening, that the community is supportive of it as well.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's really important. I mean, there's a lot of we only get one Earth, so
Exactly.
there's a lot of people that don't seem to care about how it's treated, but I think it's really important, especially now when we know that there is climate change and there's things, and it's nice to hear people making that a priority. I was just touring the RAR malting facility down in Shakopee last week, and they're self-sustaining with all the energy they produce and the amount of shoreline cleanup that they do is incredible. And I think and they're a 175-year-old company. So if they can get behind that, surely companies that are coming to be, opening their doors in 2024 need to do that, need to at least have that on their radar. So that's a positive. That's a good thing. What are some of the other initiatives that you kind of are looking for? You said you don't want to have like a mission statement, but there's definitely priorities about what your business is about. What are some of those other things?
Yeah, we touched on it a little bit when we were talking about the food and having offerings for everyone. With that, that is part of our initiative to create a safe space for all people, everyone. Doesn't matter any beliefs that we have. We're all beautiful people. We live in a world filled with beautiful people. And having a place where people not only feel physically safe, but mentally safe, emotionally safe, psychologically safe is of the utmost importance. It is so personal to me and William as well that we have that available to our customers, our guests.
Well, that's nice to hear because I'm also involved in a local nonprofit called Brewing Change Collaborative. People of, BIPOC people involved in the industry or industry adjacent. We talk a lot about until we all found this group, we were kind of like just used to walking into a brewery and being the only whatever, like I'm Latino, the only Latino person, the only Asian, the only black person. Like it's craft beer is very white, very lot of white guys with beards. And,
thanks.
I think, well, he shaved his beard once. Don't let him do that. I hope he wrote something into his contract that he has to keep the beard because it's just weird when he shaves. He looks like a 12-year-old.
The 3 times I've done it, everyone got really uncomfortable.
Very jarring. But, thankfully, there are quite a few places in Minnesota that are prioritizing being inclusive. And, so I am excited to have another place that I know I can walk in and I won't feel like an outsider. That's very important. Inclusivity matters.
It does matter. It of the utmost importance. And if somebody were to walk in and feel that uncomfortableness, I'd want to know.
Yeah.
I want to know what it is that's making them feel uncomfortable and what I can do to change that and mitigate that for the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
There come the $5 words again.
Absolutely.
You stole that one from me.
And it's interesting as you brought that up, I felt as a woman, sometimes I feel that way too.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah. So opening date is June 1st. That's a Saturday.
Yes, sir.
What are so you've got a stage. You've got food, you've got beer, liquor, mocktails, all the ingredients for a good time. Will you be doing music? Will there be different types of events that the community can look forward to? Like once the doors open and the meat sweats are happening, what else are people going to do to occupy themselves in this space?
So if you look over here, we have a booth set up for pull tabs. The Lions Club.
Nope, that is the Columbia Heights Athletic Boosters.
There you go.
That's part of our initiative of supporting this community. Our children graduated from the Columbia Heights High School, and absolutely being a part of that, remaining a part of that community is important to us.
Okay.
So they'll be doing bingo on Mondays. We're looking at doing karaoke, bar trivia, music trivia, small bands, maybe some bigger bands, depending on what we have going on for the event. And then, just have fun random events throughout the week.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be good. It's always nice to, and again, maybe, kind of like with the beers, figure out what people want. Maybe you'll just get, a big contingent of cribbage players, and you'll have to have, a cribbage night or something. As a teacher, are you going to be doing, teacher happy hours? Is that
Well,
something you can?
As a matter of fact,
Now that you mention it, no.
Oh, what? I'll still show up.
We're looking at having like industry nights, like service industry nights. So one of our soft opening events will be a service industry night where just them are invited out. And then having like teacher specials, military, police, CMT, like
Cool.
different specials throughout either the week on a weekly basis, monthly basis. We're kind of still diving into what all that is going to be for an option, but definitely some kind of happy hour throughout the week on a regular basis.
Cool.
Do you have your ID?
I always have my teacher badge is in the car. I never leave home without it.
There'll be
So
a specific 1-pint stand happy hour.
I'll just be.
It's just
that's
Dan.
across the parking lot, dude. You're not coming in here. Well, yeah, I'm very excited. You know, it's I like to. I'm very much. You know, I become excited about new places opening in the industry, and I think it's fun when you get to sit down and chat with the people behind the name outside on the sign, and it's I mean, truth be told, Cable and I have been friends for many years, and it's fun to see.
Sorry, Dan.
Yeah, well,
He keeps coming back. It's his fault.
That's right, exactly. It's fun to see like your growth as a brewer, and I'm excited to see that you have this great opportunity to kind of like open a new thing and get people excited about your beer and have that beer kind of conjoin with the cocktails and the food. I think that's just going to be a very good relationship and harmonious thing. I can't wait to come in and try the food. I'm going to be smoking a lot of fatties here. I think that's going to be the case.
one can only hope.
Yeah. So I want to thank you all for having me. This has been really fun. So this has been another episode of a 1-pint stand here at Werks Brewing Depot. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As we were conversing in the tap room, I was struck by a few things. Obviously, there is a lot of restaurant experience that will serve the entire staff well, thanks to Denise's experience. I also think Denise and William are about as nice a couple as you're going to find in craft beer. They're very passionate. They're very caring. I think it came across that they both care very much about the people coming in and feeling welcomed. And that's a great place to start. That mindset is very important. I'm also really excited to see Cable start out at a place from the opening pour, as opposed to some of the positions where he's come in where the circumstances have not been obviously like a clean slate. So I'm excited to taste his beers from the get-go. I know that he has kind of proven himself to be a very capable brewer, so I'm excited to see what they all come up with. I think it's good to see breweries and brew pubs still opening up. I know that this has been, it's tough right now for craft beer because the ground is shifting and people's drinking habits are changing. Where craft beer can grow is definitely in places like Columbia Heights, where craft beer has yet to exist until now. So Werks Brewing Depot will have drinks for everyone, and hopefully it's going to be a place for everyone. I think that's definitely the plan. So with that, we are at the end of another episode of a 1-pint stand, a Minnesota craft beer podcast where the pants stay on, but the caps come off. Cheers.
What is CTZ? Sounds like something some medication you might need to have after having too many smoked fatties. Define this for us here.